Welcome to the Magic in the Midwest podcast. Call the hotline, get out those D papers, and welcome your hosts, JB and Ash. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Magic in the Midwest podcast, number 31. 31 flavors of ice cream over at Baskin-Robbins and 31
reasons why we should get the D papers out.
Yes, 31 reasons why we should get the D papers out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I am JB Michaels, USA Today best-selling author of many books, one of which just came out, The Festival of the Vine, a Mac and Millie mystery, which is a blast to read. Good stuff. Good stuff. And so, basically the podcast is, partially sponsored by my books at MrMichaels.com and, on Amazon and other platforms. Again, we like to also give a big shout out to our Bandcamp subscribers. Those people who really help propel the podcast. And I just want to say thank you to all of our new subscribers and thank you to all of the subscribers that have been with us from the start. We really appreciate you. And for $3 a month, less than a cup of coffee over at your favorite coffee shop, you can help sponsor this Magic in the Midwest podcast.
Plus, you get 4 extra podcasts a month.
You do.
Subscriber-exclusive podcasts,
You get
guys.
double the EPs.
Where JB and I usually do, attraction smackdowns or park smackdowns or talk about, like, top 5 this or that. And it's a little bit more casual and I would say more fun. This podcast is fun.
No,
but
not more fun.
I think it's more fun.
I think it is more fun for something that's already fun. So
we're really
the
selling
fun
ourselves here.
Really just the fun just continues.
People just got their wallets out. I could tell.
Yes. Thank you so much. The fun really just continues, is what we're trying to say. So, yes,
that's not what I'm trying to say.
It's as fun, and then you just get more of that same fun, right?
No,
I
think it's more fun.
Oh, geez. All right, so. Anyway, Ashley's wrong, but that's okay.
No, I'm not.
And I'm joined by my more successful wife.
Yeah, that's me. Who knows it's more fun, Ashley Michaels. Hello.
Right. Okay. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do have many more podcasts. So, basically, if we were to count all of the podcasts together, we would be on podcast number 62.
Very good, James.
Today. Is that good math?
Very.
Thanks.
Times 2.
That's a lot of podcasts. That's a lot of recordings,
It is. It's a lot of time spent together.
Yeah, so help us all. Yes, and then... just kidding, Ash. Just kidding. Okay. All right. So, today we thought we would talk about we go back to our mainline podcast where we go through the parks and we talk about each section of the park. And today we're going to talk about 2 sections, one of which is the animation courtyard, and there's just not a lot to talk about there, but we're just going to go through it real quick. And then we're going to Sunset Boulevard, which is arguably, for years before they opened up 2 new lands on basically the opposite part of the park. Arguably the most popular section of the park, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about why momentarily. So in the animation courtyard, you've got Walt Disney Presents, which is basically...
Wait, where is the animation courtyard?
It is, if you're looking at the Grauman's Chinese Theater, it's to the, right of the Grauman's Chinese Theater. It's a very small. It's
just a courtyard.
Is that where we went
in to watch that?
It was Voyage of the Little Mermaid was over there.
Star Wars movie with Harrison that one time.
Yes, yeah, that was where they used to have Launch Bay. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it is no longer is no longer
I don't feel like
there.
anyone's going to know what you're talking about. Meaning, like, because there's just
well,
not really anything there.
because you just brought out something that no one will know what to talk about.
Well, no, I was trying to get a reference of what you were talking about. Don't.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so... down.
I don't. So, I'm trying to think of the reasons I like you.
Yeah, good. I'm good.
I haven't come
Keep
up with
going. You can't think anyway. You didn't even brain. Anyway, so no, but Animation Courtyard. So this courtyard used to be way more robust. Basically, one of the major attractions was over here, and that was the animation studio. Like this at one time was a working animation studio where they animated movies like Aladdin and Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I think you should have led with this.
And well, you don't let me talk.
Well,
I'm
just trying to.
You don't let me talk. Okay.
You shouldn't talk.
Shut up. Okay, so we have. It used to be really a fun, like 45-minute tour. Where you actually got to see animators working at their craft.
Did you get to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, when did it?
It was around.
You're old.
It was around for till the early 2000s. I mean, it was around about a decade.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it is a really a really fantastic experience that after Home on the Range failed at the box office, they stopped really creating 2D animated movies. Like, it was like kind of took off, so they basically shut down that studio.
So strange. I don't even know that movie.
Right. You don't even know that movie. See?
I mean, I do, but I've heard of it.
It starred Roseanne. She played like a cow in it. And no, she really did play a cow in it.
I know.
Okay, so so it really didn't do super great at the box office. And then, obviously Pixar was just, Pixar would come out with something and everybody would go see it, and then DreamWorks would come out with something, everyone would go see it. And then, Walt Disney Studios was still creating 2D animated films.
Right.
And, after Home on the Range flopped, they switched it to 3-dimensional animation. So, but what was cool about the animation tour was it was guided by your tour was a Lost Boy played by Robin Williams, which is really kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then Walter Cronkite was also in it, the famed, journalist, TV news anchor.
Yeah.
And they kind of brought you through the whole process. It was really, it was a neat experience, especially to inspire people into the world of animation. Like it inspired my sister to get
really
an animation
cool
degree.
to see, as people working on actual stuff for Disney. That would be really neat.
Yeah. So it was a cool. I thought it was a really great concept. But.
Whether they're working
change.
on 3D or not, couldn't they still technically have it? They just decided to shut it down.
I guess, yeah. I guess it wasn't. Right now, really, there's not a whole lot going on in that area. I don't even know if Launch Bay is there anymore. I think it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Walt Disney, apparently right now, they claim that Walt Disney's, well, I guess it is over there. Voyage of the Little Mermaid was over there, and that's shut down now. Mm-hmm. That puppet show.
I liked that show.
That was a really neat lasers, puppetry. It was really cool.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was an appropriate length, and
right.
It was, I thought it was good.
Yeah, so that is gone. But then there's also the Walt Disney Presents in the Animation Courtyard, which I highly recommend. If you guys,
done that?
I don't know if we have.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you do this. It's one of those things where it's not really ever that crowded. So let's say you're headed out of the park that day, or you're done for your first half of your day or something. Go walk in there for a little bit and check it out.
Yeah.
It's all about Walt, and then there's a tribute film called Walt Disney: One Man's Dream in the Walt Disney Theater. And all of this was in conjunction with Walt's 100th birthday. So I think this has been around since 2006 or something like that. So it was a really neat. It's a really great show if you want to get a little bit more context, right, in history for like where you're at, and you're in a place called Walt Disney World, so it's kind of neat to learn about Walt Disney because a lot of people don't know much about him, right? So it's definitely highly recommended. And then there's Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company, a place to go get some coffee in the animation courtyard. What do you think of Joffrey's coffee?
You know what? Honestly, I don't know if I've ever had it, but I hear people say that I know a lot of people really like it.
I like it.
Kind of more than, Starbucks coffee.
Yes.
I'm not a huge fan of Starbucks, like, just coffee.
Yeah, the regular coffee.
Yeah, I would rather get coffee from Dunkin' Donuts or even McDonald's. But, I know they're, as far as specialty drinks, I like those. But, yeah.
Well, that's how they make their dough,
But, I do know some people that love their coffee, too. I just don't love it.
Yeah, okay.
But I think Joffrey's has, I don't know, a better approval rating for, like, tea and coffee.
I think the actual taste of their regular coffee is better. I really do.
I do too.
Than Starbucks. Yes.
Just our opinions, guys.
It's just our opinion. So
love
Starbucks
love it.
aficionados.
I mean,
we're not sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I love Starbucks. I love going and getting green tea.
Well,
and
you are
caramel macchiatos.
Stereotypical Starbucks.
And I'm gonna put on my UGG boots and my leggings, and I'm gonna love it. I'm going to skip out of there with my oversized sweater, and it's going to be amazing. God. Pumpkin spice. Actually, I don't like pumpkin spice.
No, she hates pumpkin spice.
No,
She's like the only person on the planet that doesn't like pumpkin spice.
I feel like I'm just drinking pumpkin potpourri. You don't
like it?
No, I like apple cider things. I don't love pumpkin spice. It just tastes too much.
Like you're from the north. Apple cider.
I did not.
You did, don't you know? Apple cider.
Don't you know? No, I didn't.
Don't you know? From Minnesota. Okay. So, Ash, why don't you take us through to Sunset Boulevard? I'm going to grab some coffee myself.
What do you mean, take us through?
Just take us. Tell us what's there.
Well, the street is called Sunset Boulevard. So the two main are both of those attractions considered on Sunset Boulevard or no? Not really. Oh, they are? Yes. Even Rockin' Roller Coaster? Why are you shaking your head like you're so disappointed?
I'm not shaking. I'm nodding my head.
I'm asking.
I was not.
Well, the two main attractions that most people associate with Sunset Boulevard would be Hollywood Tower Hotel. Nope. Tower of Terror. Hollywood Tower of Terror, Hollywood.
Look what happens. Look at what happens when I leave for 3 seconds.
Yeah, but you talk about the factual stuff.
Oh my god!
I talk about the vibes.
Hollywood Tower. Oh my gosh! Yeah. Okay. So this
Hollywood Tower of Terror Hotel.
So Sunset Boulevard. Okay, was actually a street that did not open with the park. So when
why would you leave during that part?
The park first opened, there was no Sunset Boulevard. Okay, and then about
your responsibilities
in the early 90s, then they built the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, and then when they built that, they opened up all of Sunset Boulevard. So Sunset Boulevard is Ashley's favorite part of the park, right? Didn't you say that? Isn't it your favorite?
Yeah, that's what I should talk about. Vibes.
All right, so
it is my favorite part of the. You guys,
are you okay?
I'm recovering from a migraine. I had a really bad migraine yesterday, and so it's almost like you're hungover, but with no fun part.
I feel bad.
No, but I want you to go through the rest of your stuff, and then I'll talk about.
So this basically is a was not there from the get-go.
It's crazy to think about what was actually there when it opened. Not a lot.
Right. No. definitely not. So Sunset Boulevard really, it's a cool street, and it has some of my favorite shops there. It really has a lot of really cool shopping. It's got Once Upon a Time, which was, at one point, Once Upon a Time was like
a villain store,
a dedicated watch shop, but now it's kind
Which
of got
it
still has watches, but it's not. Yeah, Villains is not there as well.
Yeah, but remember how it used to be different? I feel like it used to be more dedicated to just villains, and then they sort of changed it.
Yeah, now it's all candy, and it's all different.
I just want all the bad characters in one place, so I can
me
feel
too.
recognized.
We love the villains. We love the Vills.
I want to feel your hair. Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right, so
I'm gonna do it. Keep talking.
Okay, whatever. They can't see my hair, but
I can see it.
Okay.
I have to look straight at it.
Brr. Okay, so we had Once Upon a Time, then of course Legends of Hollywood, and for a long time there was a Planet Hollywood shop there as well, where you could get Planet Hollywood gear. Considering Planet Hollywood was on, actually it might still be on Disney Springs, or it used to be Downtown Disney. We'll get to that at another podcast, but this area is, before Galaxy's Edge, before Toy Story Land, people went... Toy Story Land. This is still arguably the most popular part of the park, I think, for teenagers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because the two most thrilling attractions in the park are there. And we are talking about Rockin' Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith.
And Hollywood Tower Hotel.
And the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which you're not wrong.
Oh, no,
right? According to the theme, it's the Hollywood Tower Hotel.
No, I do think that, I feel like you see a lot of school groups here, like the high school groups in this area.
Because kids want to go on those.
Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster,
Yeah. I get it. It's exciting. If I was their age, I would, I was their age when I would come here. So
some time ago.
I and I loved going on Rockin' and Tower.
I still love it.
Yeah. So basically they're like staples of the park. All right, so let's go through Rockin' real quick. We'll give our review, and then we'll get a review.
Tower of Terror is now the official
icon
for that park.
Yeah, so basically if you're looking at all of the cups and napkins and different things, and the icon of Animal Kingdom is the Tree of Life, the icon of Magic Kingdom is the castle, and then of course Spaceship Earth for Epcot, and now they basically, because of its classic status, and the fact that just people love this ride and continually go on this ride and talk about this ride, Tower of Terror is, I think, officially now the icon.
Yeah,
right?
I have mixed thoughts about that. Mostly good, but just to me, it's curious.
You would rather have the Earful Tower?
No.
What would you?
I just think it should be the Chinese theater, especially because of the theming of the park, and now the fact that Mickey and Minnie themselves are featured in a ride.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
And it's straight down the walkway from the entrance.
Yes.
To me, it makes a little bit more sense to do that. But I get Tower of Terror too, and I don't mind it. I think it's also a good choice.
It's a weird thing too.
But it's just strange that they just pick, this attraction that's just sort of over here.
Well, yeah.
None of the other parks do that. The castle is right down Main Street. Epcot is, as I call it, the ball ride. No, but Spaceship Earth, and then the Tree of Life, obviously in Animal Kingdom. So it's curious to me, especially now with the change from the Great Movie Ride to Mickey and Minnie's, why they didn't make it the Chinese theater.
Yeah, you're right. Now that they have
sort
a
of
premiere,
seems like the obvious choice, but it's cool.
Now that they have a premier attraction there, you would think, they would kind of move it back to that. But I just don't, I don't think that's the case. And right now I'm looking at the DisneyWorld.com website to see, what they. Oh, of course they're not showing me what they basically the picture they're showing when you go to Hollywood Studios, the very first thing you see is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. But it's weird. But also, when you're on Disney property, there's also that billboard, that like actual like mechanical billboard they have for Tower of Terror. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Where they have it's like 3-dimensional, and it almost looks like they built out the tower, and they built out the actual elevator shaft and elevator. So I mean, it's just I guess it's just iconic, and I guess you could see the Tower of Terror from like far away. No,
it's true. I don't disagree with the choice. I think it's fine, but I was sort of surprised.
Yeah. Again, it was also something that didn't open with the park. So all those other icons opened with the park.
Yeah,
and were there. So that's an interesting point to make.
Thank you.
All right. So here we go. All right. So Rockin' Roller Coaster Ash. Obviously, if you guys have ever been on the ride, you kind of, basically it's the description on the map of the park. The park map is blast off in a stretch limousine to the rockin' tunes of Aerosmith. So, basically let's kind of go through it. Like the line's
not great.
The line's not great until you get inside the record company.
Yeah, then it gets better, but I would also say the line moves slow. It's one of those rides where you're just not really... Yeah, the Fast Pass, if you can get it, which is harder to get, it just moves a little bit slower. It's just the way the ride loads and unloads and that type of thing, but you're just going to be waiting, and it's just not... a super involved queue by any means. Until you get, like JB said, until you get inside, and then there's more to look at, and then isn't there like an interactive part of those posters now that are up where they like put your names? I thought we saw that. Is that there? Like those posters they have up, aren't those like digital, and they like put people's names?
Oh yeah, I guess they do that now.
Like are on, because they can track who's in there by magic bands and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they can do that.
Maybe
now.
We're making that up, but I feel like we saw that. Maybe not.
I think I don't remember. I honestly have no recollection of that, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
So there's that. But I mean, that's there's some things to look at there, and then once you get into the, what is it supposed to be, the recording studio?
Yeah.
That part, as much as like if you've been on the ride before, it's exactly the same. Video that you're watching, but I kind of like that. I kind of like it. It's fun. It's obviously, for lack of a better term, it's rock and roll.
Yes. Well,
it's cool.
It is. It's a really, what's neat about the theming of this ride is that it's unique. You have a roller coaster dedicated to, kind of a meshing of rock and roll, which I think is fantastic. I mean, especially since today, rock and roll, with the exception of right now, AC/DC is like blowing up the charts, and like people are listening to it like crazy, and the world's kind of going nuts. It's nice to see that rock and roll is being celebrated, at least right now.
I hope that this attraction, I would hate to see it change.
Well, it's got that huge guitar in the show building. The show building is this amazing guitar that stretches.
But I mean, why should they change it? I feel like, especially when you think about it, it's young kids. A lot of them are teenagers that are waiting for this ride. And I think it might just be because it's a thrilling ride, but it's also a cool way for them to be introduced to something maybe they don't know.
Right, because Aerosmith is an old band, right?
Yeah, to them.
To them. Well, and just, in general, they've been around for, I think, almost 40 years. Mm-hmm. If not longer than that. But, they are... So it's kind of neat that it is. I like that blending. It's a perfect blending too. I mean, the ride and the music is just perfect. And in case you don't know, of course, when you're, you kind of go through. I love the. Emily and I, we kind of do the silly. I started doing the silly dance. When you get to the point where you're in the sound booth, and like the Aerosmith pops up in the screen. And they start talking about you guys, and you're like, wait a minute, we can't leave these guys, and then you say, come on with us, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they played Walk This Way when they opened the doors to get out of the sound booth, the sound studio.
How come you've never done this in front of me?
And I used to do the silly dance to Walk This Way, because they and I would just do a little hops and stuff. It was just silliness and fun. But of course, and then you get out to the technically you're like in the alleyway of the sound studio,
right.
Recording studio. And that's where you see the freeway signs and and that's where you see people launch.
Yeah, you do get to see it.
Okay, yeah, and I think that, that's when your heart starts racing. You get it really excited when you get to that area. There's like the fence there and the neon signs, and you can hear like Steven Tyler in the screaming, like everybody's doing that countdown for every train that shoots off into the coaster, right?
It's just adrenaline.
And it's just really, it's fun, and you just get ready. You're just getting ready to have an awesome time.
Yeah, I mean, it's rock and roll. It's a roller coaster in the dark that
yes, you're right, in the dark too.
Has one of the I think the highest height requirements on Disney property. So it's like the cool.
It really is.
Older kid ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember going on with our niece Audrey for I think maybe the first time. Like her head looked so tiny between the like shoulder restraints.
Yeah.
It
but
was
she was okay to go on.
Yeah. Tall? But no, she was tall enough. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's just adrenaline. The whole ride is just from that point on when you walk out and you see that. So yeah.
So. So basically, I can, I really think that it is, one of these rides that are a Disney must-do attraction. Yes, you're right, Ash. It's just like this incredible, like, rush.
For what it's worth, I did not go on this ride when I was 8. Some of you know that I went to Disney one time as a kid. I was 8.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit more timid at that point. So I was tall enough, but I did not go on this ride. So I went on this ride for the first time on our first trip together. Yeah. And I got off the ride and I was like, that's my favorite ride.
Yeah, literally. That was the best reaction.
Because it was just so fun. It was so fun.
The adrenaline rush that you had was just, was just incredible. Incredible. So, it was really neat, really neat. So basically, according to Disney's website, and I'll go through the description. So basically, here's what Disney says about it. You rock this way. Speed through iconic Hollywood landmarks. Maneuver past traffic jams and swoop into 3 thrilling inversions, 2 rollover loops, and 1 corkscrew as the wind races across your face. Will you make it to the year's biggest concert in time? And that's what the fun part about it is. You're going across town in LA, to the concert. And this is the cool thing, right, about Disney. And I think this is really, like, again, an example of, like, the Disney difference. Is that there's always a story behind everything. Even a roller coaster gets a well thought out story with a fun, just a fun, breezy setup. And then of course each of the limos, according to Disney's website, it has state of the art sound. Right, your super stretch limo is decked out with a 125 speaker, 24 subwoofer, 32,000 watt audio system. And then, of course, each vehicle broadcasts different Aerosmith hit songs like Walk This Way, Dude Looks Like a Lady, Sweet Emotion, Back in the Saddle, and the classic Love in an Elevator was rewritten as Love in a Roller Coaster, specifically for this rock.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Attraction. Yeah, so next time you're on the ride, guys, if you got Love in an Elevator, try and listen to the lyrics. He actually is not saying elevator, he's saying love in a roller coaster. Because, you tend to fill in, your brain fills in things that you're familiar with. And you probably
and you're going through, like,
right. And you're, like, also losing your mind because it's so fun. So basically what's neat about this ride, is that initial launch, right? That initial launch from the alleyway, and you go right into a loop. which I think is just awesome. You're just immediately taken aback and your breath is taken away right away when you get on this ride. So it's a really, I mean, obviously, I don't know, geez, we could talk about it a lot, but I think Ash and I were at the front. We've been in the front row when you were pregnant.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't know I was pregnant, you guys. Oh my gosh, that
know.
sounds horrible.
It was very early, tiny Peapod Harrison.
Yeah, we did not
probably
know.
not even Peapod Harrison, probably like, cellular, molecule. But
yes,
anyway.
it was super, super early, and we did
but that
not
was funny.
know, but we did go
on
that was the trip we were in the front
first
row.
Which really is more just a visual, like, difference, right? You're just sort of like, oh my gosh.
I mean, just literally, a visual difference, really, if you think about it, just at the beginning of the ride. Because you're in the dark. It's not like there's some big drop. Like, it's not like you click up, and do that type of roller coaster. So, I mean, it is kind of exhilarating to be in the front. I will tell you, there is one ride where it does make a big difference to be in the front, even though it's a dark ride. Space Mountain.
Yes.
Like, not this front of the second car, the front.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference if you're in the front, I think.
I agree with you. Okay, excellent. All right, so Ash, it's time to rate Rockin'. So what do you think about, what are you going to give Rockin' Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith? What time of day do you like to go on this ride? Like, how is it? I guess it doesn't matter.
I guess it doesn't matter, but I feel like it's easier to wait in the line at night.
Yeah, because it's less.
Because it's, it gets really hot in there. Yeah. Like, the way that line is on the outside, it just is like the air doesn't move. And they have these big fans, but I don't feel like it does anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay.
The only reason I'm taking off is for the queue. I think it moves slow, and there's just not a lot going on out there. But I think the ride itself is awesome. I think the pre-show is cool. Some people might think it's cheesy. I think the songs that they picked are great.
Really fun,
and I just love,
songs.
The whole idea of being in the stretch limo and you're flying through and there's all these street signs that you're flying past. I think it's cool. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a strong rating.
It is.
I think it's, I don't know. Really for me, I don't see anything really.
The only reason I gave it I think if I were to take the queue out of it, I would give it a 10.
We would try to do the overall experience,
That's
I guess, and that includes.
And I really like the store that you go into. Yes, you are forced into a store, but I like that store.
I'm just gonna 9.5.
Okay.
Because you're right, the queue on the outside is lacking.
Not good.
It is.
Like I said, it doesn't move.
But man alive, if you are a thrill seeker, this will kick your butt. Right? It's a really fun ride. But it's also not, like, overwhelmingly. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't... Like, there are certain rides, like that Goliath coaster, and...
Oh, my gosh.
Like, that thing is just, like... That thing is, like, dialed to 11 the entire time.
See, but no, I don't even think that's what it is. That ride... There's a difference between, like, very thrilling...
Yeah.
And, like, discomfort. Like, we live in, the Midwest, magic in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And so we go to the Six Flags Great America in Gurney. And the Goliath coaster, don't say okay.
No,
you're finding
Six Flags Gurney.
and the Goliath coaster is horrendous. It's so uncomfortable. Like, it's not fun. I was just like, I don't want to be on this ride. It kind of reminded me of the ride that was there before, Iron Wolf. Standing up,
a brain rattler.
Having, like, that bicycle seat jammed up your area.
Your area?
Just because you're standing up, it's supposed to be this great coaster, and it's
area?
not. And I'm all about the intense thrills. I like rides like that. But, that's just like, you just want to be off the ride.
Yeah,
it's like,
no.
It
rattles your brain.
Mission Space. Orange.
Rockin' really doesn't do that.
No desire to do that.
Yeah.
It's just uncomfortable and not fun.
Yeah. It's not I would say that Rockin' is not a brain rattling, like, oh my gosh, get me off this thing. It's very fun, it's very smooth, and you'll have a great time. And it's also very quick, but it's quick in such a satisfying way. I just think it's really fun. So
it is. I think
a dark really coaster fun. With great music and just a thrill.
Yeah, I think it's a comfortable. You're not uncomfortable,
right? Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Mm-hmm. It's funny too because your mom was more comfortable on Rockin' than she was on Expedition to Everest.
Yep.
But we sort of coached her on what to do with her head a little bit.
Am I?
Like, because
know what I think helped
she
her
hasn't been. I mean, to be honest, she hadn't been on roller coasters in years,
time,
like decades.
So she wasn't. I don't think either one of my parents expected, because at that point we had gone on pretty much every ride with Harrison, so we hadn't really been on a lot of thrilling rides, like the thrills, the big rides, and they didn't expect Everest to be as intense as it was. And I think once you lose head control on a ride, it's hard to get it back.
Okay.
And so my mom really wasn't ready for that. But so yes, we coached her. So we went on that, and then the next day we did Rockin' Roller Coaster. And I think it helps though that like you're sitting back, and then you just fly forward.
Yeah.
Like there's no going up the hill or whatever. Like your head is forced back.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a little different. I guess
Everest, you're going forwards and backwards and going up
right,
and down.
Right. The momentum kind of shifts a lot. So, this was pretty much just straight on force, the whole time. So, 9.5 and 9 for Rockin' Roller Coaster. And then, of course, geez Louise. We have spent a lot of time talking about that, but that's good.
We've spent a lot of time talking about Tower and other
yes, that's true. Too, so now we have Tower of Terror, which is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which is again, I think CBS owns the rights to Twilight Zone, but I think that Disney, and because it's such an incredibly popular attraction, it's so well done. I doubt there will be issues with it. So, like licensing wise. So, of course, you have the creepy. And
we'll be done in a few minutes.
Yeah. So, basically, sorry. It wouldn't be a podcast without some slight interruption from the small one.
We're almost done, hon.
We're almost done, HL done. Twilight Zone Tower of Terror is iconic. We've already talked about the creepy line queue, and the atmospheric line queue that you have, and the screaming that you hear when you get in there, and then you get in the lobby, right, and it's all cobwebby and old and run down. Okay, so, and then of course, we don't want to give away the whole ride because it's still, it's kind of one of those things where if you don't know much about it, it's probably better for you, because there's some unexpected things, that happen. So we won't kind of go in too far in depth into Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. But Ash, what do you think of just the structure of the tower itself, like the actual building? And then, what do you think of the ride?
I think the structure of the building is great. I think it's super fitting.
Well, the sign,
I think it all fits into the theming very well. This is one of Disney's rides that, in my opinion, the whole package is really top notch.
Yeah.
Like I said, in terms of theming and the line queue, the ride itself, to the cast members' outfits and the story you're forced into after everything. It was meticulously put together, not to mention that, without going into too much detail, the ride vehicle is very unique. The whole experience is I think really great. It's hard to beat. The whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And you just have this feeling, especially at night when you walk up to Tower of Terror, to stand in line. Like you start,
Yeah.
We talked about
it still creeps
we talked
you out.
about Rock and Roller Coaster, how you kind of don't, you're kind of just there, and then you start getting excited when after the pre-show. I think Tower of Terror things start building pretty much from the minute you get in line.
Yeah.
You can just, things are kind of eerie outside, and then there's like the smog or the smoke they do sometimes outside, and it's just like, what are we walking into?
I know.
And then you walk into the lobby. I just think it has a whole vibe to it that's just really
it's
good.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. As far as it being basically a haunted type of attraction, it's done so well. Disney does that really well, right? Haunted Mansion, Tower of Terror, both incredible, iconic attractions that people just absolutely love. So, I'll be honest, I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to just go right into the rating. I'm going to give it a 9. Only because I don't like the randomized dropping. I would rather just have one huge drop. Rather than just going up and down a bunch of times. That's my own personal preference.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 10.
You're going 10, I'm going 9. Okay, go ahead.
I think it's one of the all-around, totally nailed it attractions in a Disney park.
Yeah.
From the minute you walk up to it, just like I was saying before. I have never been on the ride before the randomized dropping, so I cannot compare.
Yeah.
Although I will tell you that I have been on other rides that obviously didn't have theming, that were just like
drops.
One drop.
Yeah.
My problem with those is that I feel like it's just not, yes, the anticipation might be building a little more because it's going to be this giant drop.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you get a few times where your stomach goes up because you don't really know what the drop sequence is going to be. And maybe people complain because they felt like it was just the one drop.
Well, it was, I'm sorry.
I feel like at the end you do drop further.
It was a drop and a half. You dropped once a little bit, and then it was like, oh my gosh, we dropped. And what made it more impactful is that you drop, you think you're just going to keep dropping, but you stop. And you go back up. That was the biggest thing when you first rode this ride. It was you just thought you were going to drop once. So when you would drop that about halfway down, you were like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. That's not over. And then you go back up.
I could definitely see how that would have, but then you have to think, for people that go on it multiple times, the randomized dropping does
probably help.
You don't know what's going to happen. And I do feel like they've changed it even more recently to, at the end, you do almost drop the full weight. Because they kind of used to not do that. You don't know how many more times you're going to go up and down. So I get your point. I don't mind the randomized dropping. I also don't have a lot to compare it to, but I think Tower of Terror is top notch.
You think Tower is that the only 10 you've given?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
For rides that we've gone over?
Probably. So I gave it a 9 because I love the ride, and it's not that I don't love the ride. A 9 is
afraid of the dummy, you guys.
That's also a part of it. Yes, the dummy is down at the bottom and that creepy elevator shaft. Anyway, so it's very awesome. Obviously, it's amazing. The gift shop when you walk out is also really cool. And we just saw recently the new merchandise for Tower of Terror, and there's a really neat merchandise that they have now, like Disney Mickey sort of in like a 40s business suit. Mm-hmm. It's 40s Mickey, like it's late 30s, early 40s Mickey, like the way he's drawn, which I think is really neat. And he's like basically like going to the Tower Hotel to like on a business trip. You could just sort of think, and he obviously does not know what he's getting into when he checks in to the HTH, Hollywood Tower Hotel. Yes, so that is, Rockin', we both gave 9 and 9.5, and then Ash gave Tower a 10, and I gave Tower a 9. Okay, and then there's also the Theater of the Stars in this area, which used to have the Beauty and the Beast live show, but that has since been shut down. So, it's not there anymore. So I don't know what they're going to be doing with the Theater of the Stars. And then, of course, we have dining, the Sunset Ranch Market, Anaheim Produce, where you could get some oranges and some good stuff. Rosie's All-American, which basically I think you get like pretzels and hot dogs. Nothing crazy special. Maybe even a burger or two. I don't know. Another Joffrey's is over there as well. I mean, I think maybe we've gotten water over here and maybe like a pretzel over in the Sunset Ranch Market.
Yeah.
But that's about it. It's outside. There's some like umbrellas that kind of cover things, and
I like that area though.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, you're right near really cool stuff, so you get to kind of just chill.
And I think they have like some healthier options too. Like sometimes they have like fruit cups and hummus and pretzels, like little pretzels or some like pita chips or something too. So
right.
Something to think about.
Yes, something to think about indeed. So so basically. That's the Sunset Boulevard area. One of my mom's favorite stores, obviously, is on Sunset Boulevard, which was once upon a time Legends of Hollywood. I think were kind of connected, and she would go look for new Mickey watches over there. So I always like to kind of go in and see if there's any new watches, since she has a vast collection of them, and I wear one myself to this day. So. All right, so that about wraps it up here. Ash, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else. Go to Bandcamp, Magic in the Midwest Podcast.bandcamp.com, and subscribe to the Magic in the Midwest podcast for as little as $3 a month. Again, thank you to our subscribers. Thank you for listening. And from the Midwest, see you later.